High above the clouds, where the air thins and the horizon curves, climbers on Mount Everest often report something strange. Time feels different. Minutes stretch into eternities, seconds feel heavy, movements slow, thoughts blur, and the world seems suspended, as if the mountain itself is bending time. Many climbers ask the same question after returning. Does time actually slow down on Mount Everest, or is something else happening inside the human mind? To understand this phenomenon, we must separate physics from perception and then see how Everest forces them to collide. From a scientific standpoint, the idea that time slows down is not entirely fictional. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time does pass differently depending on altitude and speed. Objects farther from Earth's gravitational field experience time slightly faster than those closer to it. At the summit of Mount Everest, time technically moves faster than at sea level, but the difference is microscopic. Over an entire lifetime, it amounts to just fractions of a second. So no, Everest does not physically slow time, yet for climbers, time undeniably feels altered. This distortion begins with oxygen. Above 26,000 feet in the death zone, the human brain receives only about 1/3 of the oxygen it needs to function normally. This condition, known as hypoxia, dramatically alters cognitive processing. The brain struggles to maintain focus, process information, and track sequences. When cognitive load increases and oxygen decreases, the brain's internal clock begins to malfunction. This is the first crack in time perception. At altitude, every action demands effort. A single step requires conscious thought. Breathing becomes rhythmic calculation. Movement slow, not because of choice, but necessity. When physical motion slows, the brain recalibrates its sense of time. Slow movement creates the illusion of expanded time. The world does not move faster, the climber moves slower. Climbers often describe summit day as surreal. Hours feel endless, watches lose meaning, schedules collapse. Many report believing they have climbed for only minutes, only to discover hours have passed. Others experience the opposite, a brief moment that feels impossibly long. This inconsistency is a hallmark of disrupted time perception. Extreme fatigue compounds the effect. After weeks of exertion, sleep deprivation, and calorie deficit, the brain enters survival mode. Non-essential functions are suppressed. Time awareness becomes secondary. Psychologists refer to this as temporal dissociation, a state where the mind disconnects from linear time to conserve energy. On Everest, dissociation is not rare, it is routine. Stress also warps time. In dangerous environments, the brain floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol. These chemicals sharpen focus but distort temporal awareness. In moments of fear, time may seem to slow dramatically, a phenomenon documented in accidents, combat, and near-death experiences. Everest provides prolonged exposure to this state. Fear is constant. Some climbers report a sense of timelessness, a feeling that past, present, and future blur together. This is often accompanied by tunnel vision and emotional flattening. The summit becomes the only concept that exists. Everything else dissolves. Time loses context. Hallucinations further complicate perception. At extreme altitude, climbers may see figures, hear voices, or feel guided by unseen companions. These experiences can create false memories and disrupt chronological awareness. If the brain cannot reliably interpret reality, it cannot reliably track time. Cultural and psychological expectations also play a role. Climbers are primed to expect something extraordinary from Everest. Stories of altered consciousness, spiritual awakening, and near-death clarity shape perception. Expectation influences experience. When climbers believe time will feel strange, the brain interprets sensations through that lens. Yet there is another factor rarely discussed: monotony. High-altitude climbing involves repetitive movement over featureless terrain. With few external cues, the brain loses reference points needed to track time accurately. This sensory deprivation creates temporal drift. Without change, time becomes meaningless. Scientific studies of high-altitude mountaineers confirm measurable cognitive decline. Reaction time slow, memory weakens, decision-making deteriorates, internal clock misfires. Despite this, climbers often make critical decisions based on time, turnaround points, oxygen consumption, weather windows. This creates a dangerous paradox. The environment that requires precise time management actively destroys the brain's ability to measure it. Experienced climbers compensate by externalizing time. They rely on strict schedules, alarms, and guide enforcement. They understand that personal perception cannot be trusted in the death zone. Time must be obeyed, not felt. When climbers ignore clocks and trust intuition, consequences follow. Summit fever thrives in distorted time perception. Just a little longer becomes hours. Descent is delayed. Energy runs out. Many fatalities occur because climbers believed they had more time than they did. Time did not slow, they did. There are rare moments, however, when climbers report clarity, a heightened awareness where time feels sharp and focused. This is short-lived, a final surge of adrenaline, the mind's last attempt to assert control. So, does time slow down on Mount Everest? Scientifically, no. Relativistic effects exist, but they are negligible. Psychologically, absolutely. The brain, under hypoxia, stress, fatigue, and fear, experiences time as fragmented, elastic, and unreliable. Everest does not bend time, it bends perception. It strips away the mental structures humans use to measure reality. Climbers do not enter another dimension, they enter a neurological one. This distinction matters. Believing time slows down creates dangerous confidence. It encourages pushing limits, delaying decisions, and ignoring objective markers. The mountain punishes that belief. Every watch still ticks at the same speed on Everest. The sun still rises and sets. Storms still arrive on schedule. The only thing that changes is the human mind. For those who survive Everest, the memory of distorted time lingers. Summit day feels unreal in retrospect, as if it happened outside normal life. That is not magic, it is biology under extreme pressure. So when climbers say time slowed down on Mount Everest, they are not lying. They are describing what it felt like to operate with a failing brain in an environment that allows no margin for error. Everest does not care how time feels, it only cares how time passes, and on the mountain, time never slows, it only runs out. There is one final layer to this experience that climbers rarely articulate clearly: meaning. On Everest, time does not just feel distorted, it feels important. Every second seems heavier because each one carries consequence. At sea level, wasted minutes are harmless. On the mountain, wasted minutes can decide whether oxygen lasts, whether daylight fades, whether descent is possible. This weight gives time emotional gravity. Moments stretch not because clocks change, but because the mind understands what's at stake. Neuroscientists suggest that when the brain operates under extreme consequence, it records experiences more densely. More sensory data is packed into fewer moments. Later, memory interprets this density as duration. This is why Summit Day feels longer in retrospect than it truly was. The brain did not experience more time, it experienced more meaning per second. This also explains why climbers struggle to describe Everest after returning home. The distortion fades, clocks normalize, life resumes, but the memory remains expanded, fragmented, and surreal, like recalling a dream that obeyed different rules. Everest compresses life into hours. Decisions that would normally take days are forced into minutes. Regret, fear, hope, and determination collide at once. The human brain is not designed for that density, so it bends. In the end, the myth that time slows down on Everest survives because it feels true, not physically, but psychologically. And on a mountain where perception often decides survival, feeling true can be just as powerful and just as dangerous as being true.